Hi everyone, it's Sarah Todd. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that has bothered me for a while that I've never talked about before on my YouTube channel, and I think that this really needs to be talked about more. And that is people not understanding the value of independence, accessibility, and accommodations. These are all such important things for us disabled people, and I think a lot of people just don't understand how valuable it is to be able to be independent if you wish to be able to have accommodations that you need, to be able to have your accessibility needs met. And a lot of people just don't understand the struggles that we disabled people go through when we can't have these things, and they cannot imagine what it's like to be in our place. So I think this topic really needs a lot more awareness, so this is what we're doing today. If you all don't know me, I cannot move my left hand. My right hand is very weak. I have paralysis in certain areas of my arms and hands, but I can walk. So I have spotty paralysis in my arms and hands, and that is my disability. And this impacts my independence in my everyday life. And because of that, I have grown to understand just how important accommodations and accessibility are for us disabled people's independence. I started thinking about this topic more when I posted a video showing that I have trouble shaving my armpits because I cannot move my left hand. So to shave my right armpit, I have to do this funky maneuver where I try to reach my right armpit with my right hand, and that does not work out very well. And I often have people telling me to just not shave my armpits because it's difficult for me. And I really have a problem with this type of thinking. And this type of thinking has shown up in other videos I've made as well. For example, when I talk about how it can be more difficult for me to have long hair because I can't put it up in a ponytail or a braid or a bun, and people will often just tell me to cut my hair short even though I love having long hair, and that's like my favorite thing about myself. And people will often do this when I talk about how we should have shoes that are more accessible, like every pair of shoes should have adaptive shoelaces. Why is it only that once we are not able to tie laces, we find a solution for that? Like, we should just have every pair of shoes have adaptive shoelaces on them already, and then they wouldn't even be adaptive. That would just be how shoes are made, universal design. And I just get so many people saying things like this on those videos. And the most recent video of mine where I had this happen was I had a reel on Instagram get a lot of views. At the time I'm filming this, it's at like 2.5 million views. And I was at a restaurant and I had requested that my crab legs be served to me cracked because I am unable to do so myself. And the server would not accommodate my request. And a lot of people were telling me to just not order crab legs or to just not go out to eat, which are very ridiculous suggestions. So anyway, all of that being said, this is why I started thinking about this topic more, because having these people comment these things on my videos has made me realize that people just don't understand how valuable it is to be independent if you wish to be, to have your accommodations met, and to have your accessibility needs met. So we're going to be talking about why this type of thinking that these people have demonstrated is harmful. And the short answer is that it puts the onus on the disabled person to make the change. So essentially, I should not have to change my personal preference for shaving my armpits because I cannot do it and there's no other accessible option that works for me. Instead, we should all work together to find ways to make shaving more accessible. The solution shouldn't be for me to just forego my preference for shaving. We should try to make it accessible so that people like me who wish to shave are able to do so. The same thing goes for hairstyling and shoes. For hairstyling, we could find ways to make that more accessible, such as making adaptive hair ties or adaptive hair brushes. And I know some of these things do already exist, but I think we might need a few more options because I've yet to find anything that works for me. And I know that these products out there cannot possibly accommodate every person's disability at the moment. So just making more options that might accommodate more of us disabled people could solve that problem. And also, as I said before, for the shoes, if shoes just already had adaptive shoelaces in them, and then they wouldn't even be considered adaptive. That would just be how shoes are made. and then everyone would basically be able to put on shoes. Essentially, if a product is made so that it can accommodate disabled people like me, who have very limited movement in one hand and no movement at all in the other hand, then abled people would be able to wear the same shoes. Most likely, if an item is accessible to a disabled person, then it's accessible to an abled person. So this would really benefit everyone, which is something a lot of people need to realize, is that accessibility benefits everyone, not just the disability community. And that's for a lot of reasons. One reason being that making things accessible helps disabled people and it doesn't harm abled people. And another reason being that anyone could become disabled at literally any moment, and also if we live long enough, we all essentially become disabled when we are elderly. And then regarding the crab legs example, it is ridiculous to suggest that we disabled people just shouldn't go out to eat because we need help with our food. That's once again putting the onus on the disabled person to make the change rather than trying to make society more accommodating and accessible. And I feel like a lot of abled people just like to come up with these quote unquote solutions for us that are not actually solutions. They're just telling us disabled people to change what we do because it doesn't require any work from them. It doesn't hold them accountable. It doesn't make it so they have to be accommodating and accessible. It doesn't actually solve any problems. It makes us change how we do things, which is not cool. That's a really ableist suggestion. And the other suggestion telling me to just order something else is also ridiculous because abled people can order crab legs. Why shouldn't I be able to order crab legs? And I know this example is just really wild, but it's just because I made that real, and that happened to be an experience that I had on one occasion at Red Lobster, and I haven't had it happen since. And the manager told me that the server was supposed to help me with the crab legs, so that was like a one-time thing that has happened to me, but it was very frustrating and it should not happen again. And I wanted more people to know about it, so that is why I made the reel. But also what people don't realize is that being a server is hospitality work, and part of that job is to help people cut their food or crack their crab legs. Like, that's literally part of the job. And even if the server doesn't do it, I would not care who did it. The server, the kitchen, the manager, whoever. Like, this is a pretty standard request for us disabled people to make. It's not unusual for us to request our food to be brought out cut or cracked or whatever it may be. And that is part of that job. Like, we don't care who does it. If the server doesn't want to do it, have someone else do it, but that is a standard request. So I was very surprised that people were getting more angry at me for making the request in the first place than getting angry at the server for refusing to accommodate my request, because as I said, it's a standard request. But anyway, all of those examples said, I really want people to recognize just how valuable independence is for a lot of us disabled people, and the importance of making things accommodating and accessible. You need to be willing to accommodate people. If you're not empathetic enough to just think about people being human beings and wanting to accommodate them for that reason, you should at least be thinking about how that could be you one day. It could be you at any moment, and you would really want people to accommodate you and make things accessible for you. So it's super important that we make things accommodating and accessible for those reasons. So yes, that was an explanation for why independence, accommodations, and making things accessible are so important. And I really hope that more people will learn about this from my reel that got a lot of views, because people just need to realize it's super important that we care about other people. And if we can't do that, which we really should be able to do, we should be thinking about how that could be us, and we would want someone to do it for us. And also, people should try to view these situations as a great opportunity to express kindness towards someone and help someone out, instead of viewing it as a chore or as a burden. I personally love when I get to help people, and I know a lot of other people do too, and those people are great. But the people who view it as a burden should try to reframe that thinking, because it really is nice to help people. And I guarantee you, if a disabled person asks you to help them with cutting their food or cracking their crab legs or whatever it may be, you will make them so happy when you help them. that's it for today's video. I hope that you all enjoyed and learned something new. As always, please give this video a like, leave me a comment, hit that subscribe button, and remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss a video of mine. I post new videos every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern and sometimes Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you at the next video. Bye everyone!